Hey there everyone, welcome to the series again. It took me a couple of days to actually sit back and record again. I was a little under the weather. Anyways, so in this video, we're going to learn the most important thing about the setup for such infrastructure that we are building up, which is customizing the flow of the clerk. Now, building up any application with the clerk is just like this. And if you just go with the bare minimum setup or the basics, which also is recommended a lot of time, then it's a simple job of 5 minutes. But what I want you to go and do is the tough job. Shortly, I will walk you through how you can inject a very basic route where clerk control everything, which has its own advantage. But also I would like to walk you through the hard job, which we are going to cover in this video, where we're going to learn that how we can have a custom sign up flow, which has all of our user interface. So our own custom forms, our own buttons, and that's what we're going to do in this video, not the customized flow or the basic flow that clerk gives you. Surely that can be done, but I thought let's go a little overboard. Let's handle the tough part so that easy part can be done easily by you. So that's the goal. That's the goal. We're going to learn how we can build a customized flow using the clerk. For the sign up user, we'll be firing up our verification code as well, so that verification code goes to the user, and I'll walk you through with the whole step and what we are going to do. In case you're wondering, yep, this is a t-shirt sent to me by the postman. Thank you so much. Big shout out to you guys. I really love to work closely with the teams with a lot of companies. So they send stuff and I'm super happy with that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how we are going to build that. We're going to study the documentation together because I think that's the most important part. Now, whenever you see the application which are designed and built by the clerk, you might have seen this kind of pop-ups that come up in the sign up page and the login form. Putting up this thing is super easy. There is no big deal. These are pre-cooked components which are given to you. And in your sign up page, you have to just call a component known as sign up or sign in. And automatically from there, the whole thing is being taken care of by the clerk itself. But what I want you to do is change this whole thing. And it's not just a CSS thing that can be changed. Clerk actually provides you to design your own totally customizable flows. And a lot of people don't discuss that. That is why I'm here, to show you that how this can be done. So what is our customized flow for this one? So our customized flow for the clerk looks something like this, where we simply go ahead and say that, hey, here are my steps. First step is user fill out a form and submit the sign up form. Now this form is something that we are going to design. Of course, I'm not going to show you that, hey, this is how you design the beautiful form. It could be a simple input box, doesn't really matter. But the whole idea is it's our own UI, so it can be as customized as you want. Now, once a user fill the sign up form, clerk is going to create a user and initiate the email verification. So I don't have to write the code for sending up the verification code. I don't have to set up an email server to do the job or to save these codes in my database so that I can re-verify that. Surely that all can be done, but we're going to use a clerk for our advantage so that they can do all these things on our behalf. And yes, that's the best part I like. I don't even have to configure my email IDs or my mail server for that. After that, once a user enters the verification code, this is also going to be taken care of by the clerk itself, that, hey, whether you have added the right code or, hey, you are just messing around with the system. After that, we're going to see the clerk verifies the code and log in the user. Now, the login part is either you can redirect the user into login page or the dashboard, wherever you like. It's totally your job. So if I summarize this one, we're going to design something like this. There could be more fields as well. No problem there. Clerk can handle that nicely. So most for us, the important part is user submits the email and the password. And of course, there could be other fields. And then we hit the sign up button. As soon as you hit the sign up button, we simply go ahead and enter the code. We click on verify. Of course, a code needs to be triggered here that we handle the sign up button. And once somebody enters the code, we have to take the user onto this screen or have to enable the viewing for this particular code where they can input the code. So that's a conditional rendering we have to do. And after that, we are going to work on the verify. So somebody clicks on verify, then also we have to trigger the events which are given to us by clerk. And once they are being done and all satisfied, then, hey, we have to just throw a redirection. So that's the whole part. Now, the most important part for this one is to learn about the documentation of the clerk. So if you go on to the home page of the clerk, so this is how it looks like, the docs part of it. And if you click on the getting started and overview, this remains almost same. So let's just say we want to go with the Next.js. And this is the basic. The step one is to install it. So we also cannot skip that part. So let's go ahead and install this. Hopefully that will also be a bit faster this time. My internet is a little laggy these days. Don't know why. So in the meantime, it gets installed. So let's see what's the next step. The next step is to set up your environment variables. The best thing which I really like, that a lot of things are given to you just directly up here. You can click on that. So notice here admin app and all of that. So I can just turn on the SaaS app. I have never seen such beautiful documentation ever, and I think this is the most developer-friendly documentation in the Clerk, because they understand that if I'm reading the docs, I need to copy my environment variable. I can drop down and select my application, copy it, and gets the job done. No need to just look things into different pages. Get the environment variables here, get the values from another page. This is one of the advantage they are taking up here. Again, showing off a little of their authentication system, which I love, by the way. So I'll just copy this one, and after that we have to go ahead and head up our environment variables, and let's go ahead and set this up. So there we go. One click, it's all done. I really like this. After that, we have to configure a middleware. Now this is an interesting part as well. So what happens in the Clerk is you can go ahead and use the middleware, and they give you the whole code of the middleware, and you can configure that where do you want to run this middleware. That's one of the nice thing that you can do. I'll walk you through how it can be done and how that can be managed as well in a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute, but first I'll skip that for a minute. Again, without middleware, Clerk doesn't work. Middleware tells you that on what pages we should have the protection enabled. That's the whole idea, that's the goal. Right now it says skip the Next.js internals and all static files unless found in the search params, and always run for all the API writes. By default, it just encrypts everything and locks entirety of application. Nobody sees anything. So you can, if you wish, you can just go ahead and do so. So we'll definitely go ahead and customize this. I'll walk you through some customization, some deprecations and all these things. But again, as of now, I just want to copy this, and this is installed. And I'll just create a new file known as middleware.ts. I come back here, and if I copy this and paste this, right now everything is protected apart from the static assets like whatever the CSS, JS files are there. But apart from this, everything is protected as of now. If you want to add more things which you want out of the protection, we can mention that, hey, these are the auths we can do. Surely we'll have a discussion on this one. This requires a bit of discussion. And after that, it says, hey, now you have to add a Clerk Provider. The Clerk Provider is like a sandwiched component in which all of your application gets into it, so that every single point of time you can just ask and reach out to the Clerk and say, hey, I want to know whether user is authenticated or not. So this is a provider that we go. And they also mentioned that go into your layout file, and after that just grab all these buttons and everything, if whatever is required for your case, and just sandwich up as with the Clerk Provider. And this is much easier than you think so. So let me just walk you through with that. So go into your layout, because this is the root file from where we are serving all of the components. Children is where everything gets loaded up. So where do you want to actually load this up? It's totally up to you. I would like to load it up at the top level of this one. So the best part is, or the easiest way to do so is, just go ahead and say, hey, I want a Clerk Provider, import that, and there we go. I'll just move this at the end of it and save this. That's it. Told you, really simple. Now, surely in the example, what they mention is that, hey, I'm showing you all the signed out components, sign in component, and sign up component. All those components, they actually mention this upfront. Maybe you want to load them in the header. That's why they are being imported. Otherwise, you don't require them. We will work on the navigation bar or wherever you wish. You can just import these components and they work out of the box, or you can have your own pages. Work with that. Now, here's the interesting part, which a lot of people miss, that how actually to work with that. Now, the next step for everyone should be that go ahead and read all these cards here. The first one is protected route using Clerk. This actually help you to understand that how can I protect things better? How can I create route matchers, and how user can have a route which are protected or are open for public. So this whole page that you see here, this is your holy grail to figure out that, okay, how can I combine other middlewares if other services are there, or how can I protect all the routes, or how can I skip some of the routes? So is public route and all these things. So this is the first measure you have to do if you are studying all this on your own. And apart from this, the most important thing which I really like about the Clerk, and I highly recommend everybody to learn, is create custom sign up and sign in for the pages. A lot of people just blame the Clerk that, hey, everybody just walk through with the same loader of the Clerk. You have the option, you didn't read the documentation, you have the option to customize everything up here. So again, it's totally up to you, and through the injection of this middleware, you can just work on that. The basic that they mention here is that, hey, create inside your app a route that says sign up, and then this whole route which catches up every single route inside it. And then you serve the page, and the whole code that you have to write is this much only. The reason for writing this much of the code is simply because of one reason, because this signup component comes from the clerk itself, from the Next.js clerk, and they shows you this exact pop-up which we talked about. Yeah, this pop-up is served from there. But there is no compulsion like that. You can always go ahead and create your own components and routes and whatnot, and can use functionalities and the hooks given to you by the clerk itself. So if you scroll a little bit, you're going to find that there are, in the backend and front end, there are API sections, and let me just go ahead and search for that. Their searching is actually much better. So there are hooks being given to you, use signup and use sign in. And if you study any of the hook, for example, use signup, you're going to see that, hey, they give you a lot of options. Is everything properly loaded? Boolean set to false until clerk loads and initialize. So you are injecting the clerk. You need to know that when it is being loaded. You can set active, you can head the signup object, and you can study more about what is there in the signup. And apart from this, there are lots of parameters which we are going to study, that how we can work that. And this whole thing gives you so much customization that you can do with the clerk. And this is exactly what I'm going to walk you through now. So let's set up a customized flow for this one. We'll definitely come back and work more with the application, but right now let's go up there. All right, so how we are going to work with that. So we're going to create a simple new route. Let's just say inside the app, we have a new folder. We'll be creating the sign in as well, but this video, let's go ahead and work with the sign up. Again, this is how you create the basic route in Next.js, and inside that, since this is not an API, it should not be route.js, it should be more of page. So just go ahead and say page.tsx and just use React functional component, whatever you want to call it. And in this case, let's just call this one as signup. That sounds good. And there we go. All right, so this is the basic page that will be served. We all know about it, and we'll definitely import some of the components from the shared CN as well. So by the way, if you don't have any idea how to bring any component from shared CN, it's actually really, really easy. And shared CN gives you out of the box components, whatever you need. So for example, I need a card from the shared CN, so something like this. And I think we have to click on components, and let's just say we want to bring in the card. So this is the kind of card that we are looking up for. And you can just go ahead and run the command npx add latest shared CN this card. So what this is going to do is bring you all of this thing. Let's just do it. Let me show you that. I'll just go ahead and bring it from npm. Just go there and paste this command, and that's it. Now this is the shared CN component. For the very first time when you do it, it asks you a couple of questions to make all these changes. So yes, I'll just give it option of yes. Choose the default theme. New York sounds good. Neutral. Do you want to use CSS variables? Why not? And then it's going to just overwrite some of your files, and that's it. And what you're going to notice now is you have a lib folder, and inside the lib, one new file that gets added is for merging of the Tailwind CSS. So that's basic. You will never touch this file. And apart from this, what you're going to get is a components folder. And inside the component, you're going to see this card, a UI folder again, and inside that's the whole card that comes up. So now it's all ready. You can import this card or any other component like card description and can start working with that. So, and it's much rather easier to just work with this. So whenever you need to have this, just import these elements in your code file and then start working with the card. Just inject your values. That's like a bootstrap style. Anyways, we're not here for that. We're here to actually understand what more can be done with this one. So a couple of things, interesting ones. First of all, go ahead and import a few interesting stuff from the clerk. Majorly the use signup hook. So this is the one that we are going to use. We'll also need some of the navigation, because if we work with our this route, once user hits the verification code, we will need to redirect the user somewhere. So for this redirection purpose, let's go ahead and say that, hey, I'm going to redirect you. So use router is going to 1, and this is going to come from the React navigation. So make sure it doesn't come from the React router, rather it's the navigation. This also has a long history. Let's also bring in link, because obviously we might need it. So this is going to be link, next link, just like that. And we will be bringing up some components from input and button. Again, they are the shared components, doesn't really bother. So if you want to add a button, just go ahead and copy this. And yeah, For building the UI, I'm not much concerned. I'm pretty sure you can do it much better, or I can give you the UI as well. So nothing much. And whenever you want to use it, just copy this and come back here and now paste it. It's just there. That's it. We'll be needing input as well. So if you need input as well, go ahead and look for input. This is the one. And this is the email. We'll be crafting our email with that. Don't worry, I'll give you the code file for that. But again, the steps are same. Just copy this, go ahead, paste this. It's a boring job. And copy this, and now you are free to use this input box and everything. In fact, we'll be needing the card as well. So why not to just, since we are here, let's bring it up as it is. There we go. Since anyways, I'll be using this one up here. All right, so we'll talk about more of these things later on. Right now, where I want to bring your attention is inside this signup component. So a couple of things that are almost always required whenever you're handling these kinds of cases. The first thing is bring up as many values as you require from the use signup. So let's just say we are going to need a few of the things that are going to come up from use signup, the hook. There we go. Now it's up to you that how do you go and study more about them. As much as you want to study, I highly recommend to do so. Some of the things which are upfront for us is loaded. I don't want to load anything in this signup page unless the signup is all done. From the clerk side, everything is loaded. Another thing is signup, because this is an object, and if you study this object, this gives you a whole lot of things like create method is given to you for creating a user. Then there's a prepare the verification steps. So if you go ahead and look for this, verification steps are here. So prepare verification, attempt verification, email verification is prepare email address verification, attempt email address verification. So you can also do phone verification or Web3. So these are the things which are required almost every single time. So let's just go ahead and bring them up. So first one is loaded, that we'll be needing. Sign up, obviously we'll be needing that. And we'll also need one more, which is set active. So these are the properties that we are going to need for this one. Okay, once this is all done, we also need kind of a email address loader here, not loader, but a state, so that I can manage my email address, my password, and state whether the user is pending verification or is verified. Because if he is into the state of pending verification, then I want to redirect him here. And if the verification is all done, then I would like to redirect him to somewhere. So I need to manage a state for that. I also need to manage a state for the code, because as soon as the code is generated, I would like to bring that code, but where will I store it? So I need a state for that. And that's exactly what we'll be needing up. So let's just go ahead and say that, hey, I'll be needing an email address, and that's going to be set email address. This is the part where I really love AI to chip in, because I know what I'm doing and they can help me to fill up these things. And we'll say use a state, and there we go. Oh, by the way, not like that. What is happening? Oh, nothing. I was just overthinking. So again, use signup is there. So use state. So by default value is empty. We'll be needing one more for the password as well. So let's go ahead and say this one is going to be password, and we can just say set password. Another state that we'll be needing is verification. So let's just say pending verification. Set pending. Come on, no suggestion. All right, looks good. And this one is going to get a default value of false. Right now, nobody is verified. We'll be needing one more for the storing the code itself. Let's just call this one as simply code. Set code. Okay, what else? We are not using any libraries or something, so we need to handle errors on our own. Usually the good part about the Clerk is that they can handle the error for you, but their custom signup is also not that bad. They handle all these error messages nicely for you. That's what I really like. Okay, we will also have a couple of state. This has nothing to do with the part, but the way we have designed the UI is we have the show password field as well. So we have a simple toggle there, which you click on that, it changes the text field from password to text. That's it. It's a really classic 101 technique of that. Set show password. So this is nothing, just fancy. All right. And after that, I have everything so that I can store the things. One thing that is required is I'll be redirecting the user. So let's extract the hook out of it. So that will be coming up from router, and that's how you do that. Use router, and there we go. Now you have the access to this one. So you can say router.push wherever you want to push the things. All right, so how do we work with that? The step one, which I always mention, is go ahead and make sure everything is loaded. The reason why they mention this up front at the top is because they also know that this is a common thing which is missed. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. So is loaded. So Clerk actually injects a lot of JavaScript in your application, and you should not proceed without actually having this one. So instead of having return like this, the first step I would like to do is, if there is no is loaded, so this is a hook or value given to us by the Clerk itself, I would love to simply return a simple loader, but in this case I don't have a loader, I'll just run a null. But if you have a loader, just keep on spinning that loader. Automatically this code will help you that once the loaded is there, that's it, you're all good, this will never run. Now after that, we need to design a couple of methods which does the job for us. What's the UI? It doesn't really matter. What's matter for us is you extract the values from the state and learn that how the signup method given to you by the Clerk actually works. So for this, let's go ahead and use an async. Remember, these are async methods. We're going to go ahead and say, let's call this function as submit. Since we are into the world of TypeScript, we are carrying an event with us, and that event is actually a React form event. If you don't like it, you can skip it, no big deal there. But this is the bare minimum basics. I can close this so that we can see more of this space. Now, the step one for that is go ahead and say that, hey, we are going to prevent the default. Everybody does that, and you will also do that. And what we have noticed here while working with this is that on this phase, although this is already as guarded, but what we notice that there are chances sometimes that you are trying to hit the submit button already and things are not loaded yet properly. So it's good that you go ahead and just return this, not return null, but return the whole method that, hey, we are not ready yet to perform anything in that. So this is a caution that we found out that it's a good one. So I thought to share it with you as well. After that, we know that this is an attempt to be sending some of the data online, so there is a high chance it can go wrong. And whenever there is a case like this, I always recommend to students that, hey, make sure everything is async because database is in another continent, and also make sure that try catch is there because things might fail. So in this case, we're going to do the same. Let's go ahead and try catch. We'll worry about the catch part later on. We don't need to worry much. In this, now since we are already async, I can just go ahead and say await. Now, usage of the hook. Once you have this sign up, if you'll just put up a dot, you can see so many things are there to do. It's a little bit overwhelming, but it's a good problem to have that we have so many options available for us. If you want the easiest one to go for, hey, there is a create option. So there is a create email link flow, there is a create session ID. All of them make sense already on their own, but this is the create that I want to work with. So this is a simple method which takes all the params, whatever the params you want to give. I want to give a param of email address, it is there, and I also want to give a param of password. These are the two things that are there. Okay. Once you have started this, that means this is going to create a user. This is the flow in the Clerk for creating the user itself. Once this flow is done and everything is all done, now I would like to await and start up a flow so that I can start the verification flow. That's most important for me now. Again, I'm not losing any user because it's a SaaS application. You need to value your users. I'm not losing any user. This user you will be able to find in your Clerk dashboard, but after that, the all part is done. Now I want to prepare for, it's not sign up. And now I want to prepare. Come on, am I doing something wrong? Yes, the S is capital. It's sometimes difficult to talk and explain at the same time. So now you can see, again, why are you doing this to me? Sign up. Yep, this is the sign up that I want. And after that, if I put up a dot, again, all these options are there in front of me. And what I want is this prepare. Again, you have prepare email address, you have prepare phone verification. I don't have to do, I don't have to configure any provider or third-party provider for that. The Clerk can handle that. So I'll just initiate an email address verification. And once you put this, there are a couple of ways how you can actually do this. The most important thing is there is a strategy that you can define. So again, if you look at the strategy, again, there are lots of strategy that can work for you. I think suggestions, no, not good suggestions. Yeah, there is an email code and email link. Maybe you don't like sending the code. Maybe you like them to have a link and then click on the link and verify. It can be handled. I would prefer an email code because that sounds fancy to me. I like this one. So I'll just go ahead and work with that. Now at this point, we have what we have done. We have grabbed the email address and password. Somebody is hitting the sign up button. We have also enabled this screen, assuming that somebody has hit the sign up. As soon as he does that, we will remove this component from our DOM structure. We will come on to this one. We'll enable this to be visible. This is the part where now we are asking, hey, just enter the code. So at this point, all is done. But the most important part is our user is not all good at this case. So we'll say set pending verification. This needs to be true. This whole thing, this state will be our indication that, hey, unmount this component, whatever we have, and go ahead and load this component at this point. Really simple job. All right, so this is the part. Let's handle the catch part, and this is all what we want to do in this particular method. So error, don't like it too, but we'll just go ahead and say any. And we'll say any. And in this one, let's just go ahead and do a console log, and we'll just say that, hey, whatever the errors are coming up, we will be stringifying them, and we'll be saying, hey, give me all the errors, error, and after that, we'll say null and true. Really basic. Again, this has nothing to do with the clerk or anything. This is a classic console log statement. So I'm pretty sure you are all aware of it. And then also we're going to get the set error message so that if we want to show these messages, we can just go ahead and extract it. The way to extract is simple. You go ahead and say error, and error will have further an error object. So error will have errors. And again, read the docs for this one. Super easy, super basic. We want to extract the first value out of this array, and we'll want to say as message. Again, they have a whole documentation for the clerk that how you extract the errors and what errors actually each means. Thorough documentation is there. All right, so told you, it's really, really simple. Now we have a simple method which can actually handle the submit part of it. This is the part where somebody clicks on this. But obviously somebody will be clicking on verify button as well, and we are handling that part as well. So again, let me just go ahead, get myself some room. Start async, you'll be sending some data. So async function, that's nice. And I can just say on press verify. All right, what are the parameters you are expecting? Nothing, just handling the event. So let's just remove that. Call this one as e react.form event. And again, the first thing is to prevent the default. Prevent default. Sorry for that. And after that, the same strategy. I want you to follow and pay more attention. We have spent a lot of time in debugging this one, so make sure you don't do that. So we're going to say is loaded. Yep. If it is not available, I would love to simply, we can just go ahead and say it like this as well, but I want the code to be more understandable. So I'll just go ahead and say return. Again, means the same. All right, if this part is all done, now again comes up the magic part from the clerk itself. So again, we are sending some data. So try catch is a good one. Now, the most important thing here is I can just go ahead and say, again, use the sign up and can say, hey, there was an attempt to verify the email address. So attempt email address verification. And again, there is no magic science behind it. You have to learn the documentation or watch my videos. So once you initiate the attempt email address verification, this simply says, hey, there was an attempt being made and somebody is challenging you that, hey, whatever I'm entering the code, it's all good. So in this case, what you have to do is simply go ahead and say, hey, an attempt to email address verification was being made with this code. Now, this is the code that the user is entering. Whatever the needs to be handled on the backend part, that how clerk handles or manage or save these codes, we don't have to worry on that. And whatever the result comes onto that, we can just go ahead and store that. So we can just say complete sign up. This is the result that I'm storing here. Now, this complete sign up actually, if you just go ahead and look onto this one, notice here, this actually gives you a lot of promises. Not only promises, there are values which are coming up. So the status could be like this: missing requirement, or complete, or abandoned. So based on what the value is coming up, I have to actually do a simple if else logic on that. So I'll just come up here and I'll say if this one, and say if the complete sign up, whatever that object is coming up, if the status of that is not equals to, actually we have to compare that in the string format as mentioned in the docs as well. if anything is except from the complete, no, I don't want to proceed further. I want to put up a message that, hey, it was not okay, not good, whatever that is. In this case, I'll just leave that as an exercise for you. I'll just do a console log because I'm pretty sure you can do that. Again, JSON.stringify, and we'll say whatever the values are coming up. Maybe you want to see that complete sign up just like that. And again, we'll say null and to, again, you don't need these things. If you know, let them know in the comment section. But again, now again, the next part is what if everything is all okay? So in this case, let's go ahead and duplicate this, and we see that, hey, if it is in the status of complete, I would love to verify that again. I can proceed further directly that, hey, if I want to return from this method or anything, but in this case, I thought to check it again. Now, once this is all done, that means, hey, now I can create a session ID. It's totally up to me that whether I want to do it or not, and totally on you that you want to mark this user as active. Whatever you want to do, I can do at this point. But I would like to show you one more thing which we haven't focused as of now. So if you remember at the very top, when we were bringing up the thing, it made sense. Okay, is loaded makes sense, sign up makes sense. But what is this set active? Now, turns out this is also an interesting one. And as soon as user signs up, based on this set active, you can do a lot of things. Not a good documentation here. I probably need to jump into their docs, or I can just show you directly. So once this part is all done, let me show you what and how to use this set active. So again, this requires an await because it takes sometimes a little bit of the time. But once you have this set active, and just like that, now inside this set active, you can actually have some of these sessions as well. There are a lot of things that you can do. I'll walk you through with that. But if I go ahead and say session, and I can create a session based on this completed. So sign up has been completed. Notice here, as soon as I put up a dot, you can see there's so much of the things. But one of the thing is, notice here at the very bottom, create a session ID. So this is going to create a session for you. And based on the session, you can just go ahead and log in. I would love to redirect the user after this. So again, totally up to you. Dot push, wherever you want to push him on the login page. Doesn't make sense after giving him a session ID, but you can if you wish. You don't want to create that, totally up to you. I'll just redirect the user onto a route, which is dashboard. We don't have that route yet, but you get the whole idea that how it is being done or how it is being used. Now, once this is all done, we also need to handle the error part. So let's just go ahead and say this error is going to be any. Don't like any as much, but hey, what can I do? I'll just go ahead and say copy this, paste this. So this one is going to say that, hey, we are going to go ahead and head error. And let's also set the error. We have that in the above field or above method, but I can write that again. Set error, again, error dot errors, lots of errors, and just go ahead and extract the first in the array and extract a message out of it. All right, so all these things are done and all good. Now this is the part how you handle, and told you it's not really that bad to handle all these things. One thing that is still missing is our return statement. So remember, we haven't actually returned anything as of now. So now is the point that we go ahead and return the component. This is just the UI part. So let me go ahead and grab the UI part so that I can explain you that also. All right, so our UI is here. I'll walk you through with the UI. It's not of a big deal, but we have some of the components being missing here, like IOF. These are actually coming up from one of the React libraries. So let me walk you through with that library as well. Since we are here, let's go ahead and just install that. So there's a library known as Lucid React. It gives you really, really great icons. Somehow I have become a big fan of this one. Just go ahead and install this, and then we'll be bringing up the elements, whatever we required from that. So for example, this IOF that comes up from Lucid React itself. It's super easy to work with them, not of a big deal. Come up here and say, hey, I want to bring up some of the things, and they will be coming up from Lucid. Come on. Not like that. Should have worked. Oh, form. My bad. One more time. Import something from and Lucid React. There we go. Second time is a charm. And we want an eye icon from this one, and another icon is eye off. That's what we have used. So these are just basic icons, no big deal. We have a couple of more errors, like we forgot to bring the label. That is again from the shared CN. So just go ahead, come up here. This is what you need. Copy that. It's a very, very basic step. Now the command line interface is much, much better. I'm planning to do something more with it so that I can give you the whole components as it is. But again, no big deal. can be done later on. And there we go. So label part is all happy. Who else is unhappy in our case? Alert and alert descriptions are gone. And why are you unhappy? On press verify, so we'll work with that. First, let's grab the alert. Let me fix all these things. You don't need to watch this. All right, so just installed everything, whatever is required from all these alerts and everything. So we just have, looks like one more error, which says form on submit event. Why are you not happy? Says focus event. All right, got this one. Again, you need to watch these debugging session as well. So this one says, hey, I have marked the event as little wrong in the TypeScript. And turns out this one is React form event. This one is a focus event, not a focus event. This one is also a form event. So this type is now same, so should be all happy. Now let me walk you through that what's happening in the return statement. So we are utilizing some of the card components given to us by the shared CN, no magic there. And after that, as we are saying that, hey, if the pending verification is there, based on that, we'll show you what component to mount or not. So again, going on, if you are first time coming up here, that means pending verification is totally off. That means I want to show you this component first. And this is exactly this component. We have a form which says email field is there, and email field is there. So just go ahead and show me input type of, again, classic React. I'm pretty sure we have done this in the React course quite a lot in depth. Type email, IDs email, values being governed by the state that we mentioned up above. So very basic. After that, show password field. And again, we are making sure that the text or password is being toggled, just a fancy stuff. You know this part. And after that, as soon as the button is being clicked, that means we are submitting a form. And based on that, we are saying that, hey, I want to show you this form, what do I want to do, and everything. Once this is all done, if there is an error, we are just popping up that error. Otherwise, if that's not the case, you are onto the verification stage. So in the or part of it or else part of it, we're simply showing this particular component, which is also happened to be a form, but this time it's a verification form. So this is a strategy that we have defined. This is the flow that we want, customized flow. And as soon as user sets the input, we are just setting all these things and submit. That's it. And again, some of the basic funky stuff like, hey, if you already have an account, just go ahead and work with that. So this is the whole thing. This is the whole part where I wanted to bring all of your attention that, hey, so much can be done with all of these things working just like that. So again, I hope you have enjoyed this much part, and I highly, highly recommend that everybody should come up here and read all these things. So client-side helpers, React session data, SDK reference, deploy to production. These are not much of the docs to work on with, but these are really, really juicy information. All right, so this is what we have done, but still there is one more thing which is still remaining, which we really need to discuss and talk on that. I'll walk you through with that part as well, which is middleware. So far, we haven't touched this. It will work. There is no problem in it. But our application is a little bit more complex than just out of the box. So what this middleware does as of now, apart from a couple of routes which are common like HTML, CSS, and the images route, it just locks the entire application. And probably that's your goal, then hey, out of the box it works. But most of the time it's not your goal. Like as we saw here, some of the things are required to get accessible directly without the login here. For example, this webhook event, your event is not going to come in and sign up all these things. This needs to be accessible directly there. There is a different protection mechanism for that. Surely we'll talk about that. But in this case, there needs to be some of the pages which are directly accessible. And we also need to talk about the role-based access, that how the clerk is going to handle the authentication with the role-based access. So some users are admins, some are regular users. So how can we go ahead and take advantage of the clerk itself so that I can find out about the roles and can assign roles, and how can I assign more roles? If I have more roles, can I protect some of the routes so that only admin can access, only managers can access? So I thought I'll be doing that in this video itself, but turns out the video is getting a bit longer one. So I like to break this up and at least go ahead, grab some tea. I really need a tea right now, something hot. And once I'm done with this, within 10 minutes, I'll catch you up back. You can just click on the next video. So let's catch up in the next one.